Welcome into another episode of the Bobcast, presented by the Bobcat Sports Network. My name is Fielder Dennis. We are talking football here with Coach Delane Fitzgerald. Coach, season comes to an end. You finished 8-3 on the year. What were your overall thoughts on the game on Saturday against Glenville State?
I didn't think we played well enough to win. Didn't execute well enough to win. Fielder, every week of my life something happens. It's never happened before, and here were the two from Saturday. Okay, never held a team to 0 third down conversions.
Right.
Or they were 0 for 12, 0 for 13, whatever they were, and lost. I've never seen that one. I've personally never held a team to 0 first downs. Our defensive coach's defense did a good job with that, but never had that and lost. And then we knew they were going to fake the punt, and we kept our punt safe on the field. So we kept 9 of our defensive players on the field, and they still were successful. Never had punt safe on the field and given up a fake punt. So that was a little bit disappointing. On Saturday, let's summarize this, and then we can move on with the rest of our lives, rest of this interview anyway. They played well enough to win. They executed in the red zone. We didn't execute in the red zone. They were 100% on their field goal attempts, and we were 0% on our field goal attempts. When their offense got close, they finished drives. When our offense got close, we did not finish drives.
Preseason, you were picked 9th. What do you think of the team's performance this season, finishing 8-3, really just kind of blowing the 9th pick on the preseason out of the water?
Yeah, they picked us 9th, and we finished 2nd. That's not too bad. Not too bad
at all.
And I know you're going to make me talk about the seniors, or let me talk about the seniors before we get off of here, and a lot of it's attributed to their leadership. But yeah, it was a really good fall. 7-game winning streak, finished 2nd in the conference. I'd do it again.
Before we get to the upperclassmen, let's talk about one returner for next year, Gavin Lavatte. He was leaned on heavily. We spoke about him almost every Bobcast. Eclipsed 1,000 yards. How did his 2019 season sit with you as you look back on his performance?
Yeah, Gavin finally come of age. Gavin's been a good football player since he's been here, but came of age. And Gavin was hungrier this year than he has been in years past, more focused and more determined. And good for him. And he had is that the 4th or 5th best single season rushing performance in school history. So he had a great fall, and we wouldn't be where we were at without him.
You speak about the coach's son almost every week. Will Brunson, he eclipsed 2,000 yards on Saturday in his one season at Frostburg State. What did Will do that left an impression on you?
Yeah, leadership and not making mistakes. And I don't know how Will finished, but somewhere around 18 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. So he was 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Will managed our offense, and he's a smart young man, but he managed our offense and didn't make mistakes and gave us some steadiness and maturity at that position.
Now we move on to the seniors. What did these exiting seniors bring to the program from their time here?
One thing before we go to the seniors, okay, you named 2 offensive players, so it's only fair if we talk about 2 defensive players.
Sure.
Zach. Well, let's add a third one in there, okay? Zach Strand and Carl Igwe for underclassmen had great junior seasons, and we'll have them back again next year. But they really held us together and helped us a bunch this fall. And the third one I was going to mention is Wayne Palmer. We'll talk about Wayne with the seniors.
Yeah, you talk about Zach Strand and Igwe, tops in the Mountain East Conference, and every time we speak about Zach Strand, you're never really surprised, I guess, is what we can say, because he just seems to get better every year. And having him and Carl Igwe back next year, that's got to be pretty good for the defense, especially coming off of the edge. For opposing quarterbacks, not so much.
We return every defensive end on the roster. We just finished talking about Gavin at running back. We return all of our running backs on the roster, so we'll be fine going forward. But yeah, every week I get a kick out of it. In the first quarter, midway through the first quarter, sometimes it'll take me to the second. You sit and watch, and you're like, okay, they made this complete change in their offense because they were afraid of what Carl and Zach can do to them this week. But it's fun to watch other offenses game plan and have to account for those 2 young men each and every week.
Moving on to the seniors, what did they bring to the program in their time here in terms of culture building and overall performances, both on the field and off the field?
Yeah, the 3 grad transfers that were just here this year, Drew Ashley, Will Brunson, and Brady Watson. And Drew Ashley is a coach's son, also smart young man, gave us some depth at the DB position and helped us on special teams. And we were happy to have Drew this fall. And then Brady Watson came in here, and he's a local product out of Frankfort High School. But he was on the team at West Virginia for 4 years. Wanted to play his redshirt senior year and start his graduate degree, so we were able to help him do that. Brady played for us on special teams, did a really nice job for us on kickoff, return, all fall, and then Brady had a handful of carries. He had two very meaningful carries in that Wheeling game that we needed to be successful up there that day. But Brady's done a nice job of bringing maturity and accountability to the football program. And then we've talked about Will a bunch this year. But if you told me you could go get a grad transfer quarterback every year and he was going to handle his business the same way that Will Brunson's handled his business, we would do that. Will was one of the better quarterbacks in the conference this year. And here's Will's stories. Will started a bunch of games at the University of Albany, and it didn't end so well for him there. So he had a little sour taste in his mouth about his college career and the way that went and the way he was treated. What we did as a coaching staff and as a university is we gave Will an opportunity to come in and bridge the gap for us from Division 3 to Division 2 and help us be more successful than we would have been without him. And then on his end of it personally, he's going to walk out of Frostburg State with a graduate degree in Parks and Recreation, which is what he wants to do with his life, and he's going to be able to look back on his college experience and especially his senior year and smile about everything that happened. Going for, I'll go through the other eight
Go
here.
ahead,
I'll be quick, not so long-winded. Okay, Ryan Landis is an all-time favorite of mine, and Ryan is from the family of snapping Landises. Ryan's brother was a 4-year starter at long snapper here, and then we had a year in between the two, and then Ryan's been a 4-year starter, and just great player, great family. You don't notice all the things that Ryan did, but he didn't have a bad snap. In 4 years, he didn't have one bad snap. That never happens. But good for him and good for us. When we're going to miss him is when we run out there this spring and somebody else is snapping and the ball's going everywhere. We'll be like, hey, where'd Ryan go? But anyway, Ryan's planning to be a state trooper in the state of Pennsylvania going forward with his life, and he'll be great at that. Wayne Palmer. Wayne Palmer's one of my favorites on the team, and Wayne has been a good football player here the entire 4 seasons he played. But Wayne had to redshirt 1 year with a wrist injury, and I don't remember how the injury happened, but he redshirted 1 year. So the story is this, and we'll always be indebted to Wayne because he was one of, if not our best defensive player this fall. Wayne didn't have to come back this fall. Wayne had enough credits to graduate last May and go on about his business, and he chose to delay his graduation a little bit, which college kids don't ever do. He chose to delay his graduation for 1 semester so that he could play his senior year and continue to be a part of our football family and this football program. Wayne is a testament that our players are learning and they're enjoying themselves and they're having a lot of fun playing college football because Division 3/Division 2 football players that are paying a bunch of money for school, they don't stay the extra semester. They don't incur the extra debt. They get out as soon as they can get out and they leave. And Wayne chose to go the other way with it. And so I'll always be indebted to him. Jason Money. Jason Money came in here out of Carroll County, Maryland, and has developed and gotten a little better each year he was here. My favorite story of Jason's always going to be Riley Hartman got dismissed from a football game at Christopher Newport in 2017, and Jason hadn't played in a game in his 2 years here, and we had to play him. Riley got dismissed on the 8th play of the game. He doesn't want me telling everybody that story, but we brought Jason Money off the bench and played him at right tackle about 60-some plays in that game and played really, really well, gave us an opportunity to beat a good Christopher Newport team down there in 2017. But Jason played a bunch more in 2018, and then he started all year this year and did a nice job. Wade Olson out of Fredericksburg, Virginia, came in here, and I knew Wade was going to be a good player the first day he stepped on the field here for us at this university. And after about a month and a half, I was convinced he was going to be a great player for one simple reason. Wade Olson really enjoys playing football. The smile on his face and the laughter, and yeah, he makes me mad sometimes because he's got a corny joke about what's going on the field. But just the fact that he enjoys so much being out there, yeah, he couldn't help but be a really good player for us, and that's what he was. We'll miss Wade around here. Walter Riley's been a rock for us, and I don't know who took the most snaps in this conference at defensive tackle this year, but I'm going to bet it was Walter Riley. There were Kentucky Wesleyan 2 weeks ago ran 90-some plays against us, and he took 70-some of those snaps at the 3 technique position. D linemen this day and age don't do that because they're getting double teamed and they're getting pounded. It's such a mentally and physically taxing position that young men aren't allowed to do that. But Walter's out of Boonesboro, Maryland, and Walter's mom and dad raised him right, and that town of Boonesboro raised him right, and he's tough as nails. But he's been our rock. We'll miss Walter a bunch. Vinny Perschetti. My first month here in February 2014, Joe Perschetti walked in my office, and he was a junior or senior student at Frostburg at that time, and he said, "My little brother plays football in Pittsburgh. He's really good. You should check him out." And I said, "Okay, I'll check him out." And as soon as he left my office, the name Perschetti and Joe and Vinny and all that escaped my mind. In one ear and out the other, I wasn't interested. Wasn't interested in hearing what a student here had to say, and wasn't interested in recruiting Pittsburgh and et cetera, all the stuff that I should be ashamed of, okay? A month later, Joe comes back in my office, and Joe's a good-looking young man himself, but he walks in my office and he goes, "Did you check out my brother's film?" And I was like, "Well, no, I didn't." He said, "Coach, my brother's a good football player." So I put the film in, and the first thing I noticed on the film is how bad they were getting beaten, because it's Baldwin High School in Pittsburgh, and they were not very good and taking a pounding. But I'm watching this film, and this young man keeps making plays, and he keeps making plays, and he keeps making plays. And I said, okay. So I put the film away, and like a week later, I have it in my notes to watch the film again, because I'll have a different opinion sometimes watching a recruit on film twice. So I put the film, pull up huddle, and I pull the film back up, and I'm watching it on my computer, and I'm seeing him make more and more and more plays. And even though his team's no good, he's making every play. If he doesn't make the tackle on defense, they score. And if he doesn't make the catch on offense or the kick return, the punt return, they don't get any yardage. And anyway, just fell in love with him watching him play, and how hard he played and how well he played. Well, if it wasn't for injury, Vinny would have the school record for most games started. Vinny got injured and missed 2 games his sophomore year, if I'm not mistaken. But Vinny started something like 45 out of his 47 games on campus here during his career. Great football player. I don't know if he'll get all conference honors this week, but he's deserving of it. Great football player. 2-year starter at corner for us and a 2-year starter at safety for us. Good player. Mike Bell. Mike Bell comes in out of Baltimore, Maryland, and Mike Bell was a 100% project on and off the field. Mike Bell is a huge success story for this university and for this football program. There were a lot of times Mike's freshman, sophomore year, I didn't know if he'd make it in football, didn't know if he was going to make it academically in school. Mike ended up being a player for us as a junior, and then as a senior he was a star for us. And again, I don't know if they'll vote him all conference tomorrow, but they should. 11 games this year, Mike Bell lined up against our opponent's best receiver, man-to-man, into the boundary, the man-to-man side, and played man-to-man football and did a really, really good job in his senior year. Good football player. Wouldn't trade him for the world. Great young man. Matt Meyer, coach's kid, coach's son. We have a theme in this football program. Everybody out there, if you're a coach's son, you should come see us, because we'll take care of you now. We like coach's kids here. Best thing about a coach's son is if they ever mess up, they ever do something wrong, you only have to make one phone call home. He's called to call mom and dad one time, and then they never make that mistake again. So that's a good one. But Matt's dad, as a coach, was a coach in Northern Virginia for 20 plus years, and now is in the administrative side of some things. But Matt's done a great job here for us, and I got a lot of memories of Matt. But the thing that I'll remember the most is his smile. He probably wants me to remember his play, but the way he'd smile when he was on a football field, and how much he loved to play football and how much he enjoyed it. That game I brought up about Jason Money in 2017, Christopher Newport. Matt Meyer won that football game for us. Created two fumbles that we recovered and kept us in that football game long enough for us to win the game down there. Matt had a bunch of great plays. He hit the quarterback at Kane last year up in northern New Jersey so hard that it hurt me. That he hit that young man so hard anyway. And I love tough, hard, blue-collar football play. And that's exactly what Matt is. And Matt had some really hard hits in his career here. So going to miss him a lot on and off the field going forward. Did I name them all?
I think so.
Okay. That senior class, those 8 young men that were here for 4 years, 39 wins, 2 conference titles, 3 postseason appearances, 4 postseason victories. Just a great class, great class of young men. They finished what they started, and were first class the entire time they were doing it here.
Coach, what players made great growth in this as the season went on? Who really stepped up and grew in your eyes?
Oh, you play tough one. You're talking about everybody, not just the seniors.
All players.
Talking about everyone. Those freshmen. We played 15 freshmen this year that didn't redshirt, and I'm going back. I have no idea what the all conference voting will be, but Gottlieb Gottlieb Ayadea. Say you say it.
Gottlieb by EJ.
There you go. I'm completely off. Gottlieb by EJ. He just got it to me. Yeah, nice young man, but him starting 11 games at left tackle, he deserves to be the offensive player of the year in the conference. Don't know if that'll happen, but him and Greg Gaines and Brandon Dillard at those tackle positions playing as true freshmen, unbelievable how much they grew. Lavelle Ayadea.
Volgea.
If you say so. But Lavelle started 8 or 9 games at fullback as a freshman, going to be a good one. Jawan Royale, there was a lot of growth. We're getting into something that we can't even, that I can't even. We get, Fielder, we get 1% better each day.
Right.
1% better each day. Over on that defensive side, Robert Horsey, Leonard Scott, rotating in at that defensive tackle position, that nose guard position. Freshmen don't play that position. It's so hard getting double teamed all the time, getting that double team block with them doing that. Mitchell West and Aiken Loney, and that's not the way you pronounce Aiken's first name either, but Kanye Loney.
Kyan.
Yeah, there you go. Sure enough. But Aiken did a nice job at the corner position, special teams for us. Mitchell West did a nice job. I always leave him out, but he's one of them I think has the brightest future. George Richardson at wide receiver, freshman. Billy Walker, freshman linebacker on special teams. And that being said, I've left out 2-3 freshmen that played for us this year, but those freshmen that played really showed some growth and improvement during the year. And then they have the most chance to grow and improve from right now until we play on Thursday night, September 3rd in Owensboro, Kentucky. I would never look ahead now. So, but they have the most room for growth there. But I saw a lot of growth in the young men, both on and off the field this fall.
There were some returners from last year who stepped up. I know at the linebacker position, Michael Morgan and Duron Aku played big minutes late in the season with the injury to Wayne Palmer. Did you see some growth out of some of the returners from their first year to their sophomore years?
Yeah, Mike and Duron have room for growth, and all of our linebackers do. Jake Brochard needs to get bigger and stronger and faster, and Monty Jones needs to get quicker. But there's things that all of them can do. Our linebacker core was really talented this fall. They have an opportunity to be even more talented next fall. But yeah, Duron, the sky's the limit for Duron. Whenever he decides he's going to focus and be a player, he's going to be a great player.
What do you think was the most exciting part of the 2019 season?
Opening up a can on Charleston on Thursday night on Masson. Wouldn't that have to be the?
It's got to be.
Wouldn't that have to be? It was really hard for me to contain myself when that guy threw the mic in my face at halftime and said, "Hey, what do you think of the first half?" Well, the politically correct thing to say is it couldn't have gone any better. But what I wanted to say is I can't even say it on this either. Yeah, but hey, great 30-minute. Wouldn't that be the highlight? That first half against Charleston and the way we put it on them on national TV. Yeah, it would have to be. Hats off to our young men.
Looking forward to 2020. I know you don't like to look ahead too much. What are you most intrigued to see from the returners and potential new players?
Yeah, Fielder, we have an opportunity to be a lot better next fall than we were this fall. We will have 25-plus seniors next year, which is going to be a school record and going to be our coaching staff, going to be a record for our coaching staff. But if those juniors are all saying they're coming back, and we have a chance to be much more talented. All the juniors are back, and all the sophomores are back. Those 15 freshmen we just talked about that played as freshmen, and then the 25 freshmen that re-redshirted. And then we're going to add a recruiting class to all of this, and it's a scholarship Division II recruiting class to all of this. And we have all intentions on this coming recruiting class, our 2020 signing class, being better than our 2019 signing class, because that's what good programs do, is they just add good players and add good players and add good players. But without me getting off the topic, going back on those 25 seniors, our entire wide receiver class seniors. Yeah. Our entire tailback class. We have three senior tailbacks next year, like 8 senior wide receivers. 2 really good offensive linemen that are seniors. You flip over on the other side of the ball, and we have 4 or 5 defensive linemen that are seniors, 3 or 4 linebackers that'll be seniors, and 1 or 2 DBs that'll be seniors. We're going to be senior-led next year. And long story short, we're going to be as good as those 25 seniors want to be in 2020. It's just the way it is. I can want it, and their parents can want it, and Fielder Dennis can want it as much as he wants to, but it depends on what those 25 young men want to do. If they want to be humble and they want to be hungry next fall, we have a chance to be really special.
When you reflect on the 2019 season at Frostburg State, what word or phrase will come to mind?
Selfless. That they played for each other. Really, really good with their community service projects in the community, and really good with the elementary school kids they read to on Fridays, and then go out every Saturday and not be selfish, play for each other. And that was the term. And when I think about 2019, I think the players in our locker room, I think they care about each other. I think they respect, and I think they care about each other. And I think they played about as hard as you could play for each other.
Coach, thanks so much for talking with us this season. It's been an honor and a privilege, and we're looking forward to games down the road.
I'm not letting you off quite yet. Everybody's tired of listening to this by now. Okay, so they've already got it turned off. But me and you, this is our last time on here
That's
together.
right. That is.
You're going to move on to greener pastures. Fielder Dennis, from our coaching staff and from our university, young man, you are a class act. You're very darn good at what you do, but you're a class act. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Back here on the Bobcast, presented by the Bobcat Sports Network. My name is Fielder Dennis. Alongside Coach Becky Fletcher, we're talking volleyball. Coach, you end the season falling to Notre Dame and Urbana. What were your assessments in those matches?
So we started MEC play this year against those two teams, some pretty tough teams. And they were really fast and pretty strong, and we knew that we had our work cut out for us going into the rest of MEC play, so it was kind of fitting to end our MEC play with them as well. And I think we played them a lot better. We played them tougher. We played them faster. We obviously scored a lot more points against them this time. But just to see where our team has come from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, and the confidence they've gained, and just the skill that they've contributed to and gotten a lot better at this year.
It was senior day on Saturday. Last season, you had 0 seniors. This time, 4.
Yeah.
What did the seniors bring to the program in their time here at Frostburg State?
So 3 of those seniors have been with us for 4 years. They've all been big contributors for all 4 of those years. Katie and Corey in the back row have been on the court since freshman year. Biamba entered the court freshman year and just kind of came in as a force and never looked back. And then Bailey joined us last year, and it was really great to have just a local face from our community join our team and kind of give a new breath of fresh air to that class. They're being really great leaders off the court. They work really hard. They're very consistent, and in their play and who they are. And I think it was a great year to have 4 great seniors who contribute and who have such passion for what they do and lead such a young team.
What can you say about the 4 players, both as people and their ability on the court? Individually speaking, we know the numbers with Smothers and Shatinge, but what can you say about all 4 of them, both as people and players?
I think the thing about them is that they really became students of the game. They really wanted to learn about how things work and why things work, and they take a lot of pride in teaching that to their younger athletes. So, and each other. They're very cooperative learners. It's fun to see, like, a relationship we all have mentioned all year is Biamba and Raven, and how when Biamba was out, she really took to mentoring Raven, and you could see that when Raven was successful on the court, there was no one happier in the gym than Biamba. And it's harder to see for some people unless you see it every day. But Corey and Katie Lowe have that same relationship on and off the court, that they're really helping each other, with their passing, or where a hitter's hitting, or what serves coming at them, or where they should be attacking some servers and things like that. So I think it's really fun to see those mentorships and those bonds form, and Bailey's kind of done that with the freshman class, and there are some people that she gets really excited for. Haley is one in particular. Her little sister on the team is Edwina, so it's fun to see them form those relationships, moving forward and gain confidence in themselves, but instill some confidence in those younger athletes as well.
Looking big picture here, what are your thoughts on this season?
big picture, I think that we knew it was going to be tough. You know, if
Mm-hmm.
we stepped up a conference, we stepped up a level. I think that we wanted to go into our season and have some wins. We wanted to go out and make a little bit of an impression in the MEC, and I think we won a few games there that surprised some people, which was nice. Always good to surprise people
Mm-hmm.
when you're on the court. Um, I think that we kind of set ourselves as a team that's going to work hard and kind of be feisty the whole way through our MEC play, and I hope that moving forward, that's something that Frostburg Volleyball keeps doing.
Who stuck out to you in terms of performance throughout the season?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think that there are a lot of different people that stuck out at different times. I think there were some people that were really consistent. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there have been names that have just been really consistent. Like our setter this year, Edwina, her name was consistent all year and coming up, and in how she was playing and what she was doing and how she was serving. But I think that there are moments that we had some really great underclassmen come out and have some big play. So freshmen like Jackie Sterenberg had some big
Right.
matches.
Mm-hmm.
Haley Altimus had some really great weekends. Raven Pratt had some really great weekends. And I think that those athletes are going to be a huge foundation of what Frostburg is moving forward. So I don't think there's necessarily one name. I think that that's pretty exciting that there were so many young names come up and pop up and hold their own and, you know, make an impact for Frostburg Volleyball. So I think that's the exciting thing for this team moving forward.
Were there any surprise performances from this year that maybe you weren't anticipating yet, but they really jumped out?
Oh, absolutely. Our middles. I think
Mm-hmm.
there are times when you know what people can do, or you think you know what people can do, and then there are times where you're put in a little bit of adversity. You know, I don't think any of us expected, even Raven and Tyler, expected to play as much as they did this season, and they just really held their own. And you know, there were times where Raven was dominating matches, and that's really fun to see for someone who maybe we didn't think would contribute as much as she did, and she just came on and had a little bit of a fire lit and had a really great fan support and teammates supporting her off the court, and I think that's part of the reason she was so successful.
What do you want to take away from this season going forward, both personally and as a team?
Um, I want this group of young women to know that, you know, all of the challenges that they faced on the court and off the court were there for, you know, we're there to help them be better people in the future. And, you know, we'll look back on this year and we'll remember it's our first Division II year, and
Mm-hmm.
there will be games we remember and moments we remember. We probably won't remember our record in 30 years. We probably won't remember, you know, some silly mistakes that were made, but we will remember like some silly times on the bus, and we will remember a really great win against Fairmont, and we will remember, you know, how some athletes stood up and gained some courage and gained some confidence, and I hope that moves forward with them as well.
On the idea of memories, any favorite memories from this season?
Oh, good grief.
Putting you on the spot.
There are so many good ones. I think there's a memory of our freshmen jumping in the pool one weekend, and that's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Without one of them, there are some. I think Fairmont is always going to be a pretty good memory. It was
Yep.
just a really fun atmosphere in our gym. There were a lot of people there,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing how excited our fans got and how much energy our athletes played with, I think that that's going to always be a fun memory. Senior day was really fun. We had a really great evening after our senior day celebrating our four seniors. So I think there are a lot of really good ones.
When thinking back on the 2019 season, what do you think will come to mind?
Oh, I think there's a lot of firsts.
Yep.
So I think change was a good thing. I think just a lot of firsts, and I hope that those firsts start a really great tradition.
Coach Becky Fletcher, thanks for joining us this season here on the Bobcast. It's been a pleasure to talk with you. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Back here on the Bobcast, talking men's basketball with Coach Sean Brown. Coach 1-1 this past week in terms of performance, with an 85-77 win over Mansfield and a loss to Shepherd. What did you see from those two games in terms of what your team did with the results, contrasting results?
Well, I think against Mansfield, we did a really good job of communicating. Um, we had a specific game plan in place for them. We wanted to stop their big kid. Um, didn't do a really good job of that in the first half, but second half we did a really good job of showing him a lot of attention and holding him to a minimal second half. So we paid attention to details there. When it came to Shepard, in my opinion, and our coaching staff, is kind of an embarrassing loss because we feel like Mansfield. Again, I know matchups matter a lot when it comes to team sports, but
Hmm.
we feel like Mansfield was a better team that we were playing against. We felt like Shepherd. We had some advantages over Shepherd that we didn't exploit. We did early,
Right.
but later we didn't pay attention to detail. Our game plan was to run them, chase them off the 3-point line, and we did a somewhat solid job in the first half. But if you look at the stats, we really didn't do a good job at it in the first half.
Hmm.
So we didn't pay attention to detail, run them off the 3-point line. So they hit 16 threes, and that hurt us. We had control of the game for most of the game. I'll say 28 to 32 minutes of the game, but you can feel once they started coming back, we couldn't get timely rebounds. I mean, this team out rebounded us, and they're not even a really good rebounding team.
Hmm.
And as far as what the stats say, we're a solid rebounding team, but we give up a lot of untimely rebounds, offensive rebounds. This team out rebounded us, and it was we feel like it was a toughness issue. As far as paying attention to detail issue, I mean, for the most part, for 28 to 30 minutes of that game, we feel like we were in total control, and anything we want, we got. They couldn't stay in front of us defensively. At times, in the second half, I feel like we settled a lot, and we've shied away from contact. And playing Division II basketball, we can't do that.
Hmm.
You know, there's no other way to say it. Our bigs are young, but they got to grow up. We need them to grow up quickly. And as you see on the stream, we're playing five bigs every night, and sometimes a
Yeah.
sixth. We're looking for something. We're looking for somebody to kind of grab the bull by the horns. And again, these guys are young. I know it. We have one freshman big. I'm sorry, two freshman bigs. We have four sophomore bigs. We have one junior, one senior. So
Hmm.
I know it's a young unit, but we it's time to step up. Somebody's one or two guys, hopefully two, but we need at least one to step up and really grab the bull by the horns and you know really acclimate to this Division II mentality because we're getting bullied, we're getting pounded inside, and yeah, we're not quite getting pounded inside. Again, just untimely offensive
Yeah.
rebounds. They're killing us.
Looking at the Mansfield matchup, it was a revenge game falling to them last year. One, was that on your mind? And two, you talk about stepping up. Daniel Alexander had another great game. What can you say about his performance?
No, that wasn't quite a revenge game for us. Our starters last year, they were a little pissed off at myself that I didn't let them play and try to win that game.
Hmm.
Once we fell out, once we got behind a substantial amount, I made the decision that we have a conference game the very
Right.
next day.
I remember it being
And,
quick.
right, and we were going to play the whole team.
Hmm.
We made that decision pretty early on. So it may have been a revenge game for the returners, but
Hmm.
definitely not for the coaching staff. We went in with a totally different mentality. Mansfield was a new team. I want to say, only guy that started from their team. It was only one starter who started from that team last year, who was a
Oh,
part of
wow.
the starting five this year,
Yeah.
and one other guy who was starting. He was a backup. So they're a totally different team. We're a totally different
Sure.
team. So
New
we went
faces.
in, new faces. They play a different way. We play a different way. So no,
Hmm.
it was not had nothing to do with a revenge game for us. We just wanted to come in, play well, really stop the big kid. And in fact, he's a Maryland kid who we actually went after. We knew how tough he was going to be, and
Hmm.
he's been the deal all year. Again, first half we didn't do a great job. Second half we did a really good job. We know we could if we played away Frostburg basketball. the way we want to play, we know we can score points.
Mm-hmm.
We know we can get stops. It's the offensive rebound, the boxing out and
Yeah.
holding teams to one shot. That's what we're preaching right now. We're still getting beat off the dribble too easy, but that's going to be corrected. We've been shuffling not only bigs but our wing players. We've been shuffling in and out trying to find someone who's going to stick, who's going to go with help Daniel with the scoring load. Who's going to help Daniel with defending?
Mm-hmm.
Because right now Daniel's obviously our best offensive player and probably our second best defender right now. Which that's a lot of that's
Heavy
a lot
workload.
lot of work,
Mm-hmm.
lot of heavy workload to put on him, and on top of that, the amount of minutes he's played,
Mm-hmm.
which will eventually cut back once it comes to conference play. We got several guys coming back off of injury, a few guys coming back off of suspension, and we'll see how things go.
It's not easy putting up 85 points, only making 2 3-pointers. Has there been a point of emphasis to get to the cup a little more against that Mansfield matchup? Only 2 threes, and you scored 85 points.
Well, they defended the 3-point line really well, believe
Mm-hmm.
it or not. Those guys, they defended us like we were shooters.
Yeah.
So we had to adjust accordingly. For whatever reason, teams close us out like we're shooters. That's why it kills me that we can't get to the basket and get to the free throw line. And when we do get to the free throw line, we got to make our free throws, which
Right.
is a whole nother story. But guys have played us this year like we were shooters. They close us out hard, hands up. They sell out on our on the 3-point line, and we just kind of go right by them. So no, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, we do get our wide open looks. We can't shoot. Feel that we're not a good shooting team. We cannot shoot the ball. We are working on it. We do have guys getting in the gym and getting up extra shots.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not going to come overnight. We need to get good shots, good spots, and that's the way our shooting percentage is going to go up. But we have been getting wide open looks. We just hadn't been nailing them. So yes, get to the basket, get better looks. Surprisingly, we've been bigger than most teams we've played. Again, we're just a little young, so we don't know how to use that size and aggression. But that's kind of been a point of emphasis: getting to the basket, getting our bigs the ball, working inside out. I think we can have success.
We'll talk more about shooting a little later when we move on to the Shepherd game. But let's move to defense. 9 block shots as a team, and 3 of those going to Sean Patterson. How has the defense looked early? I mean, if you're blocking 9 shots, you're being pretty aggressive and athletic.
Well, our defense is it's been okay. Help side defense has been a little bit better than our on-ball defense, which has been surprising. I thought that we'd be able to defend the ball a little bit better. Post defense has been pretty solid. Down the stretch, we've had some breakdowns where we've let guys go right through our chest, but we're working on that. Help side defense has been pretty good. Our Sean's a pretty good defensive player. He understands positioning. He understands help defense. So yes, he's been a really good defensive player. Also, Maurice Carroll, he's really good off the ball shot blocker. He's really long. He's 6'8" and he's got girth, so you can't really tell what his length is, but he has a 7'2" wingspan. He could probably dunk standing on his tiptoes. So he's long, he's athletic. He could get to those shots that those high arcing floaters, those high arcing layups. He can get to those and put those right off the backboard, which he's been doing. Dimitrich, he's really good at sitting down and playing defense on the perimeter. His post defense is getting better, but Dimitrich can switch. We can switch pick and rolls with Meach. He's become a pretty solid rebounder and a really good help defender. I can remember one play against Mansfield. Kid got into his body, backed him all the way down, and went up for a shot. And Meach waited till he left his feet and got to the top of his jump, and then he just smashed it right down the kid's throat. We got the ball, pushed it down the court, and scored. And it was an amazing defensive play. Because we don't really expect that out of Dimitrich, but he got angry, and once he get upset, once he get angry, he could really go.
Yeah.
So yeah, so our big men has been playing really good defense. We're happy with their their progression on defense.
Moving to the Shepherd game, you led at the half, only scored 24 points in the second half. What was the difference from the scoring side? And you looking at the stats, the 3-point ball was just falling in the first half.
Right. Well, that's a part of it. Our our offense look really good when we're making shots,
Mm-hmm.
like anyone else's in America.
Right. Right.
And where we have our breakdowns, and we've pointed it out now. It's been probably 8 or 9 months now that we've been pointing it out. When we don't have players that hit wide open shots,
Mm-hmm.
that becomes an issue.
Yeah.
Okay, and because it is college basketball, many college players aren't missing the open opportunities, the open looks. Those are ones we have to capitalize on. Not only open shots, the layups that's not highly contested.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we miss a ton of those, Fielder.
Yeah.
And again, we're young, but we can't keep. We can't keep blaming things on age and experience. We're here now. This is we're a Division II club. Nobody want to hear about how young you are.
Right.
Nobody want to hear about how undeveloped you are. It's here now. It's time to play basketball. And when you miss wide open shots and you miss wide open layups or slightly contested layups, that's a problem because when everything's executed to the T, we've got to capitalize.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to capitalize. And that's been the difference last year and this year. That's been the difference from us going 16-10, 17-9 last year, and us being 4-0 right now as opposed to being 1-3. We missed a ton of wide open shots in our first 4 games. We've missed quite a few layups in our first 4 games. Although we've cleaned up the turnover issue, that can't happen. So offensively, yeah, scoring 24 points, it's all of those things. Bad turnovers, being held to one shot, not getting any offense. We only had 6 offensive rebounds, in a Coach Brown coached team and system, that's usually a staple for us, getting offensive rebounds, and we only had 6 of them, if I'm not mistaken, last game. So that's a problem. Missed layups is a problem. Missed opportunities is a problem. And then turnovers, we had 3 bad ones down the stretch. I think we only had 8 or 9 for the game. We had 3 turnovers down the stretch within the last 3 minutes of the game where we're trying to feed the post player in an unbelievable, horrible angle. So, those are things that we can clean up, but those are the things that contribute to us only scoring 24 points and a half, which is embarrassing.
It sounds like at the beginning of the season, the emphasis has been finishing possessions, both on offense and defense, finishing the layups, getting the on defensive board to
almost like you've been in our practice.
That's right. Coach, the bench in the Shepherd matchup scored only 6 points. How do you find production from your bench unit?
Well, right now we're trying to figure out who mixes with who matches with who. We're at a point in the season where we should know a little bit. We should know a little bit better right now, a little bit more. But it's been so many people in and out of the lineups with issues off the court as well as injuries. So it's hard for us to get a good gauge on who's who and who meshes well with who. We've had 4 games, 4 different starting 5s, and it's tough. It's tough to gain any kind of chemistry that way. So we'll see. But as far as bench production goes, we just got to get a full complement of players back and have everybody on the same page before we know what kind of bench production we're going to get. We don't know from game to game.
West Virginia Wesleyan College is this weekend, the first MEC game. What do you want to see from the guys in the battle of the Bobcats?
Well, what I want to see us compete. That's been a staple all year too. And as bad as a loss we thought the Shepherd loss was, and they're 3-1, so they're a good team in their own right. But as bad as loss we thought that was, we feel like we competed and we opened some eyes. Because on the other hand, I feel like Shepard thought that they were going to come in and we were going to come in and lay down for them,
Right.
which we didn't. Let's just say that
Yeah.
we've been competitive in every game. They had a stretch where they made 3 straight threes that really killed us. Outside of that stretch, I think we competed really, really well in that Shepherd game and opened a lot of eyes. So that's all I'm looking for. I want us to compete Saturday. It's our first home game. It's going to be on our home court, so to say,
At
at
Allegheny,
Allegheny Community College.
right.
But we have fans at Allegheny. We have students who
close.
transfer to Frostburg. We
Yep.
have student athletes that we're recruiting from all kinds of sports down there. So and it's a 13-minute trip.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we'll have
close.
our fans. We'll have some of Allegheny's fans. We'll have our administrators, which we're so excited. Show them our product at home, at a home venue. So we're excited, man. We're expected to get the win. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. We're expecting to go out there with a week to prepare, a whole week to prepare for them, in particularly. We're expecting our team to play well. I got to be honest with you. We anything less, we'll be disappointed. We're expecting to go down there and, how can I say it, go out there and kick their butts.
And it'll be on 99.5 WDZ on the radio, and that's for the Bobcat Sports Network. We'll be on the call for that one. We're looking forward to it for sure, Coach.
Hey, we're looking forward to putting out a good product for you guys on Saturday, and definitely a good showing for Frostburg State.
Thanks for talking with us today, Coach.
Hey, thank you. It's always nice, fella.
Here on the Bobcast, presented by the Bobcat Sports Network. My name is Fielder Dennis. We're alongside Coach Kerry Saunders. Coach, 0-1 this week with a loss to Mansfield, but you also played Mount St. Mary's in an exhibition. What did you see from your team's performance this week specifically?
I think this was a little tough week for us. Coming off a jam-packed Shippensburg tournament and then to go right into an exhibition game on Monday. And then with a day off Tuesday, had a short week to prep for a Friday night game. So it was a jam-packed week. I don't think, with the exception of, the Mount, that's an exhibition game.
Yeah.
Got everybody in, got playing time. That was just a game to get us back into the groove from a depth perspective. And then Friday night, I don't think we played overly well. When you shoot 9% from the three-point line, it's really tough to come out with a win. So that was a little rough to see, but hopefully we'll bounce back this week in practice and games.
In the Mansfield matchup, the third quarter, the team surrendered 24 points and answered with only 9. What went wrong this quarter? And we'll get into the fourth quarter where it's completely a juxtaposition from the third.
Yeah, I think we've got to figure out a way. I think that's been a kind of not a great thing for all of our games so far, is coming out in the third quarter a little flat. So we've got to figure out a way to come out of halftime and play. Most of the games that we've played, we've come out of halftime and our opponent has gone on a run.
Yeah.
So we've got to figure out a way to come out strong in the third quarter, and that was it. We just came out flat. I think the whole game we were flat, and when they go on runs like that, it's too tough to come back from. So that was exactly what was going on, and the fourth quarter kind of tells it all, but that third quarter was just rough for us.
Is the fourth quarter just a situation of the light switch being flipped on, like, oh, okay, now we've got to get going here to get back in this?
Yeah, in a way. It's part of it was finding a group that would work hard out there, because I thought that from an energy standpoint we were just really flat from top to bottom, especially when our shots aren't falling. You've got to find a group that is willing to do the things that don't show up in a stat sheet, and that's what got us back into that game. It wasn't necessarily things that showed up. It was defensive stops and doing what you're supposed to do and getting the ball inside, which is what we were trying to do all night because our outside shots weren't falling. We finally got to the free throw line. We finally played defense. It was just kind of – but you've got to be able to do that for a whole game, not when your back's against the wall and it's the fourth quarter. It's great to see us battle back, and that's a testament to how good we are, is that we can go on a huge run in the fourth quarter and shut anybody down, but we've got to be able to put a whole game together.
And is that just consistency, finding consistency? Is that what it's going to come down to, just putting quarters together and doing the little things?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm preaching right now, is just you've got to do the things that don't necessarily show up in a stat line. And I think right now we're so consumed with what does show up in a stat line. And I just want you to go out and work hard and be consistent and do those little things. And we just got to figure out a way to do that. Our team is new this year. Everybody's new. You've got Diggs and Amanda who played big minutes last year, but after that, we've got a lot of new faces that are playing big minutes, whether they're returners or new people. So it's just finding that chemistry that we don't have yet. So hopefully, we've got to dig deep in practices and try and develop that within the team.
Dombrowski scored well early in the season, but the highlight really has been Jada Holland. How has her game just changed from one season to the next?
Yeah, I think she's got a lot more confidence in herself, and that is a true thing for all of our girls in the team. If you have confidence, then you're going to play a lot better. But I think from a standpoint for her is that Amanda went down preseason with an injury, which made us rely on her, and I think she built a lot of confidence through that as well. So we played, the beginning half of our, practice season, both of our scrimmages with her being our go-to post player. And I had a conversation. I said, when Amanda comes back, nothing changes with you. You can still be that dominant go-to post player.
Right.
And so I think she took that, and she's worked hard this whole preseason. It's nothing that she's not doing for herself, and she's working hard in the weight room, and she's being coachable, and she's having fun, and I think that's the biggest thing between last year and this year.
Victoria Diggs is struggling to find her shot here early, but there's no better microwave than her. She can get it going really quickly. How does she find the hot hand soon?
Yeah, I mean, she's a great player. She didn't shoot the ball well the other night, but that's fine. There are going to be nights where your shot doesn't fall. And I think, the one thing that she did is she drew 2 charges in the second half. She got steals. She was up pressuring. She was doing the things that don't show up.
Right.
And, I have all the confidence in the world that, she's going to find it again. Right now we don't have any home court advantage. So every day that, we're playing in our auxiliary gym, and then we go and we play on the road with different rims and different backgrounds, and it's just finding that consistency and finding that belief. But I know she was frustrated on Friday with her performance, but she'll bounce back.
This week you go to Shepherd on Wednesday, a team you're familiar with, and host West Virginia Wesley on Saturday. Looking at Shepherd, what do you want to see in the final non-conference game?
I want to see it kind of be put back all together. I think we've had glimpses of a lot of greatness, and I want to find that again and try and put together an entire 4 quarters of that. I don't think we've had that yet, and I think it's a chance for us to be able to do that before we go into conference, and 2 teams that, if you look at it, are kind of must-wins when we're looking at our goals to make playoffs. So I think we really just need to come out of this Wednesday game, obviously, hoping to get a win down there, but also to get back to what we are and who we are.
In the West Virginia Wesleyan game, it'll be at Allegheny Community College in Cumberland, so somewhat of a home game, about 13-mile trip. It will be the first MEC game for the team. What are you looking forward to in that matchup, the matchup of the Bobcats?
I think just making a statement that, we're here to compete in the Mountain East. Like I said, it's a team that if you look at the standings, the preseason rankings, which, you don't put too much weight into, but, they're down there with us, and I think that's one of the teams that, our goal is to make the playoffs, and that's a team that we've got to compete with and win. So it would be nice to go down there, quote unquote home game for us, so we're not traveling but so far, and try and come out with a big win to open up the MEC 1-0.
Coach, we're looking forward to finally seeing the team on the court here and getting some action in the Mountain East Conference. Thanks for joining us and talking.
Thank you.
Welcome into another episode of the Bobcast, the 2019-2020 season. My name is Fielder Dennis, presented by the Bobcat Sports Network. I'm here with Coach Brian Christensen. Coach, you were off this past week, but you got some valuable practice times. How to utilize that, and also thanks for being here.
It is always a pleasure to be here, and then we got a little audience in the studio today, which is nice. A little cheering section. I feel like I'm on Stern here.
We'll turn the applause light on.
That's right. We got Artie in the back.
Yeah.
It was good to have a little break from the meets. I think we're able to focus and kind of. It's nice to have it's rare that we have a full team practice together, and we could do that on Saturdays, which is pretty cool. People's schedules, no one's doing anything. on a Saturday morning, so we can kind of come together and bond a little bit, which is good. It's a nice relief, a gasp of air before the intensity of our mid-season meet, which is really our second most important meet of the year.
When you have this time off, you can use it for reflection of your team's performance, reflection of a lot of things in your program. What was your favorite part, or the early part of the season? What has been the most inspiring, I guess, or most pleasing from your perspective?
And I think this team has really transformed from where we were last year, for sure. I think our dedication has kind of been bumped up a bit. Our commitment is on the rise. I think we have a lot of people more plugged in than there were last year. Some people who really kind of get what we're trying to do. Less of the casual, just show up and goof around kind of swimmers, and more of the okay, we actually want to accomplish something here, which is a really, really good thing to see, and something that we'll try to keep striving for every day.
So more buy-in from the roster and the swimmers this year.
Yeah, I'd say so. By a huge margin. So.
You spoke in depth about Anthony Giuseppetti. You even compared him to a Puma last week in his performance. Pumas can't swim, if I'm not mistaken. Has anyone else really impressed you early on in the season?
Well, if you know your mammals, every mammal is born with the instinct to swim. It's actually an evolutionary trait.
I learned that now.
That's right. And sometimes when you're up in the snow, it gets melty, and you gotta ford a river, and those pumas gotta pounce a little bit. I'm literally being so silly. I forgot the question.
I thought you did. Anybody other than Giuseppetti who's really jumped out to you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. On the men's side, James Harmon's done a great job for us, making huge strides in his breaststroke. Miles Henderson, I chat about a lot as someone who is already getting lifetime bests and things. Sawyer Conklin had a great meet at West Virginia Wesleyan. He was actually he was the only one on the men's side that went undefeated, which is amazing. He won all three of his events, which is pretty cool. And on the women's side, I think Aubrey Morris is really, she looked really good on Saturday. She's felt really good. I think she's going to do some really great things at this upcoming meet. And then, a lot of our first years, Maya Wilson is doing spectacular. Raina Sison, these kids are just kind of learning what it's all about, and they're gonna, I think, do really well.
This week you head to Ashland, Virginia for the Yellow Jacket Invitational at Randolph-Macon. What do you know about this meet? What can you tell me about it, and what are you looking forward to?
It's interesting. I mean, it's all timed finals, so we'll have 2 sessions on Saturday and then 1 on Sunday. It's kind of nice for us to, not miss that much class, even though we're going to leave Friday, because otherwise, I don't want to wake up at 5 in the morning.
Who does?
Drive over. Nobody. Nobody should ever be up that early.
I know, people who work at UPS get up at 3.
Yeah.
But you're done by 1, 2.
I actually knew this coach. Shout out to this guy back in the old days. He actually worked for the post office, and he was a swim coach as well. He just didn't sleep for 2 years straight, literally.
That's impossible.
He would get out of practice and then go work at the post office all night and then coach in the morning. He was a great dude.
I think that's physically impossible. You have to sleep.
Well, I don't know. I didn't question it, but
for 2 years.
I think it was more than that. But yeah, everyone should be. So we'll sleep in, and then we'll get to the meet, and trying to get us back on track here.
That's good. That usually the host should do that, but I was going to further go in depth.
That's right. You're just encouraging my train of thought. My train, as in getting on the right track.
For Saturday.
For Saturday. That's right.
Yeah. Probably should just end it now.
It'll be good. It'll be some different opponents, some of our old opponents. I think there's a handful of D2. I think Barton is going there, which is a pretty good Division II program. But it'll be all-time finals, which is kind of different. It'll be a good chance for our kids to swim a lot of events, in a day, because we'll have 2 sessions on Saturday. But it allows us to kind of get back in time reasonably on Sunday. We don't miss too much classes during a pretty intense part of the year.
Right.
We'll miss, if anyone has a Friday afternoon class, I might miss a little bit. But I think we're pretty good on the it's literally the only day of class we'll miss this entire semester, which is pretty good considering we have been swimming since Labor Day.
Mm-hmm.
So
I know the scheduling's done, months in advance, but there seems to be. You went to York, going to Randolph, making these Division III schools, and
Yeah.
sprinkled in Division II. Is that just out of the scheduling being done beforehand, or is that just a situation where these schools have big swimming natatoriums to where you can participate? It's out of curiosity.
to some extent, like Elizabethtown, we had an agreement last year that
Elizabethtown
we would
don't,
swim again this year. Like York and St. Mary's, they were old conference opponents. I honestly just kind of like those coaches, and they were good meets. It was fun to swim them again. York's definitely a pretty good program. I don't think we'll be catching York for at least a couple more years. And as long as we are competitive, you know, the division doesn't matter to me as much in swimming as like what a competitive meet is. We'll definitely be phasing out some of these programs, like Elizabethtown. We'll see if Melissa, the coach there, listens to the podcast. Well, I think we kind of talked a little bit about how we'll phase some of these people out. York is fun. I don't know. We'll see if Eric Rasmussen's listening to this and gets the inside scoop on whether we're going to swim them again or not next year. But part of the challenge is definitely finding Division II schools in the area. There's only 5 other teams. Well, 6 on the women's side, but the sixth team is UNC Pembroke, which is kind of a haul. There's only a handful of teams that sponsor swimming in the Mountain East. And obviously there's no other Division II in the state of Maryland. So I think by that nature, we end up swimming some D3 schools. I think we'll probably add some PSAC schools to the schedule if we're swimming California University of Pennsylvania,
Right.
December 7th, which is kind of our intro to that. And my goal is to swim a lot of those. I think that ends up being a nice geographically convenient alternative. I know so we'll start adding some of these people, but and phasing out some of the D3s like the Galladettes. We'll see if this is just fun for everybody. I think we'll start phasing out. Chatham's tough. I like Chatham. Obviously, Yost is a former assistant here. Emily Turner, their GA was a former swimmer of mine. And that means a lot of fun, but it is kind of tough when I'd like to find some more Division II schools kind of test our mettle early in the year.
Do you want me to go back and just bleep out whenever you say the schools? So you're like, bleep. Yeah, they did a great job.
That'd be pretty good. At least I didn't say any school did like a terrible job.
Right. Like, I don't know if we're going to play against bleep next year because
No, I think that's good. I mean, this is a nice test to see if anyone. Actually, I feel like a lot of people do listen to this. Shout out to, I guess, the world. I always get kids saying, "Oh, Coach Brown, you said this." And I was like,
that's
the goal, to see if you're listening.
You shouted out the post guy, the guy who works at the post office.
Yeah.
All the coaches for the previous schools we've raced, and now the entire world.
Yeah, and Sam right over here.
And Sam. Okay. Final question: are you looking to make any changes in swimmers, depending on events, or are you just starting to settle in for everyone? They're all finding their roles and their meets.
There is a small handful of kids that will be doing some different events, just kind of based on the way this meet is laid out. It's a little bit different than our conference meet. So some events that we might be playing for our conference that are good in a 4-day structure, might be like back-to-back here. So it's kind of like, kind of weird. So there's a handful of that, but mostly we're trying not to have that many surprises this meet.
Coach, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. Once every 3 weeks, I look forward to these conversations, and thanks so much for the time.
That's great. And I know one last person listening out there, my dear fiancée Sarah and her cat Missy. Always a shout out to them, and I hope they're doing well in radio internet land.
Radio internet land. Thanks so much.
You got it.